Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today we are going to be doing the mid-year book Freakout tag, which is one of my favourite videos to film every single year. It just makes me very excited and just talking and reflecting back on the year so far. Yeah, so it's been a pretty big year for me. Not in terms of reading, but I qualified medical school, which is exciting, and I'm going to be starting work as a doctor in August, end of July. Which is very exciting, slash slightly terrifying, but anyway, and I feel like it's been a pretty good year, for me, maybe not for the world, but yeah, so we're just gonna talk about some books that, there's various different prompts and books I've read and my thoughts on them, and I'll leave all the questions down below if you want to do it yourself, or I'm sure there's loads of these videos floating around. So yeah, let's just get started. So the first question is the best book you've read this year so far, which is kind of hard because I feel like I have loads of favourites, I don't know. And actually the second question is the best sequel you've read so far, but I feel like a lot of my favourite books I've read this year so far have been sequels. So yeah, so for the favourite book, I'm gonna say River of Silver by S.A. Chakraborty, because I wouldn't really call it a sequel, it's more of a companion, so I'm gonna get away with that one there. And I just love this one so much. It was so nice to be back in the David Bad world. I love David Bad so much and I really want to reread the whole series. That's on my list of rereads I want to try and get to this year. But yeah, River of Silver is just a short story collection with various stories from some of the side characters from the main series, but also Nari, Ali and Dara have their own little short stories as well. But my favourite is obviously Manisa. I'm a bit of a Manisa simp. And then I really loved one, so characters that aren't really in the main trilogy, but they're kind of talked about, and Rustam and Diriyah and their little romance, and I just need a full-length novel of their romance. And then Mujaddir and Jamshid, they have multiple novellas, and I just love seeing more of their relationship. And yeah, Hatsa, I just love everything about River of Silver. It was just the best time while I was reading. So yeah, if you're a fan of David Bad, I would very highly recommend that one. And then the next question is best sequel. So I have a couple here because I'm not very good at choosing. So the first one is The God of Lost Words by A.J. Hackworth. I always get confused between A.J. and A.K. but anyway. And this is the final book in the Hell's Library series, and I just love this one so much. This is probably my favourite book in the series, but I do love every book, and I love Archive of the Forgotten as well. And I thought Library of the Unwritten, the first one, is good. It's maybe not an absolute favourite, but then the second two made this series now one of my favourites. So yeah, so this one, it was just the perfect ode to book lovers, and there's just so many amazing quotes about reading and how much books mean to people. And I love all the relationships in this one, the farm family, and there's a polyamorous relationship as well, which I really love, and just everything is just so precious, and you just feel when I was reading it, it just felt coming home and so cozy and comforting, and I don't know. So the first book is set in this library in hell, and it's this wing of Hell's Library called the Unwritten Wing, and that's basically where books that have never been written go to exist. and the book characters can escape. So one day a book character runs away from the library and goes off into the human world to try and track down his author, but obviously this is bad. So then the librarian Claire and her assistant called Brevity, they go and try and chase Hero, who's the character who's escaped, down, and then they just get up to various adventures, and they're being hunted by this angel called Ramiel, and there's just a lot of drama. It's so much fun, and yeah, I just really love this series so much, so would highly recommend. And then the other sequels slash multiple sequels slash favourite series that I've discovered this year is the Night Runner books. So especially Stalking Darkness and Traitor's Moon, they're just some of my favourite sequels, and I don't know, Stalking Darkness may be my favourite book in the series, but I love just all the books in the series. I don't know. This is the Night Runner series by Lynn Fulling, and yeah, I just love it so much. It's very classic fantasy vibes, but in a very sort of nostalgic and cozy way. The characters are all so great. There's like a queer relationship, and it's just all so good, and I just love it. So yeah, I feel like I'm pushing Night Runner on everyone this year, but please read it. Yeah, and I really want like this type of fantasy vibes, but with sapphic fantasy, because I don't know, I just love that like classic feeling. So if anyone has any recommendations, then definitely let me know. But yeah, so that's that one. Okay, then number 3 is a new release that you want to get to but you haven't yet. So I don't know, I feel like I'm usually quite good if there's a new release I'm interested in reading it like quite soon after it comes out, but so I don't know if there is any really. There is, well, The Book of Night by Holly Black, I was kind of looking forward to, but then everyone started reading it and no one really likes it. And like I haven't really seen one like good, like really good review, so I don't even know if I want to read that one anymore, to be honest. Yeah. Other than that, I don't think there's any like new releases already out. There's definitely some new releases which I'm really looking forward to in the second half of the year. But yeah, and so that is the next question. So most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. So obviously Nona the Ninth. Oh, I'm so excited for that. And I can't decide whether I want to try and request an ARC or not, because I sort of want to listen to it on audio, because that's how I've always read Gideon and Harrow, which I've reread them both about 5 times. So maybe I'll just wait for it to actually come out. We'll see. It's not that long. I feel like it comes out in September, which is only a few months away. And then also Speaking Bones, which is coming out very soon in June, which is the final book in the Dandelion Dynasty, which I'm so excited for. Like, that book is gonna destroy me, I know. Also, I'm sure there's another book later in the year that I'm very excited for. Oh, Silverborn, which is the next Nevermore book. I love Nevermore, it's one of my favourite middle grade series. A Restless Truth by Freya Marks. Not quite sure how you pronounce his surname, but I'm really looking forward to that, because it's been described as like lesbian Knives Out on a boat, which just sounds so good, and I just can't wait. And I really enjoyed it in A Marvellous Light as well, so I'm really looking forward to that. Any sort of Regency romance with a bit of magic, I just love. Also, I thought Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. I'm really looking forward to that one, because I love Delilah Green Doesn't Care. There's just so many good books coming out that I'm very excited for. So yeah, I feel like the second half of the year is going to be like really good. Biggest disappointment? I don't actually feel like I've had that many disappointments this year. Let me get my little reading journal out. Oh, I feel like I do know actually. The Dragon's Promise, which is the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes. So I don't feel like this is a bad book actually. It's a pretty like decent YA fantasy. But it just disappoints me because it wasn't nearly as good as Six Crimson Cranes. And last year I really loved Six Crimson Cranes. But then the sequel was just a bit like meh. So it was kind of a disappointment. I would still recommend like reading Six Crimson Cranes, but like maybe don't have the highest expectations for the sequel. And like there's nothing I can like put my finger on like this is really bad. But I don't know, I feel like it's just all happened a bit too quickly and things, and I don't say this very often, but I feel like it should have been a trilogy in a way. But yeah, so that was probably my most disappointing, which wasn't even that disappointing, so it's probably pretty good that I can say that. So yeah, so next question is the biggest surprise. So I actually have 2 answers to this. I'm so bad at just choosing one answer. So the first one is Forging Silver into Stars by Bridget Kemmerer, which is the like spin-off series to the Curse Breakers, and I was absolutely shocked at how much I loved this, because like I feel like the like A Curse So Dark and Lonely series I'd like enjoyed and thought it was pretty good YA fantasy, but I like wasn't obsessed with it or anything. And especially A Vow So Bold and Deadly was kind of disappointing. So then reading this one, I was like, oh wow, I really love this, and like I really love the new characters, and like I also loved seeing the old characters and politics coming back into it, even though I hadn't cared that much in the first series. So it was like it gave me a whole new love for the series, and yeah, I just really liked the characters and the relationships, and it just really surprised me with how much I loved it. So yeah, and then another series which I don't know if I would exactly call it surprising that I loved it, but the Paladins, like Saints of Steel series by T. Kingfisher, so Paladin's Grace, Paladin's Strength and Paladin's Hope. I just really loved these and had so much fun reading them. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of say, I wanted to mention them in this video. And because they were just so much fun, and like they brought me so much joy in a time when I was pretty stressed about exam results. And yeah, so Paladin's Hope, no, Paladin's Grace, we're following this character called Grace, who's a perfumier, and she is kind of gets involved in this like murder mystery thing, and there's also these paladins for the Saint of Steel, but the Saint of Steel's died, so these paladins have like lost their god or saint or whatever, and they occasionally go in these like berserker fits, so they like lose their sensibilities and just go crazy. And then so it's basically like all the different books in the series follow a different paladin. The first one, paladin's called Stephen, and then he and Grace like team up to try and solve these murders, and obviously it's a romance. I would say it's romance with fantasy rather than fantasy with romance, if that makes sense. And then yeah, Paladin Strength, following another paladin called Istvan, and he's kind of going on a journey north, and he comes across this character called Clara, who's a nun, or like nun sister thing. And she is like had to run away because all her fellow like nun sisters have been kidnapped. So then she persuades Istvan and his fellow like paladins that he's traveling with to try and find out what's happened to them, and obviously it's a romance again. And then the last one, Paladin's Hope, is probably my favourite because one of the characters, not the paladin character, the other character, like the love interest character Piper, he's a doctor, which like I love any sort of healery character in a book, even though he's a pathologist, but I still enjoyed it. And then the paladin is Galen, and they again team up because there's these like weird murders going on in the city, and then they end up trapped in this like death maze thing, which I just really loved. So yeah, it's a great series. And another, I just thought of it actually, another book which I read in May, I think, which really reminded me of this series, was The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, which comes out in July, I think. But I really loved that one as well. That one was so much fun. So yeah, all of those would highly recommend if you need a bit of like romance in your life. Okay, favourite new author? I don't know, because I feel like I've discovered a few new authors that I've really enjoyed. I recently read The Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean, which I think she is definitely now going on my like any new book that she brings out I will be reading, because I really enjoyed it. It was really good anyway, really enjoyed it. And I just really liked the writing because it wasn't like super flowery or poetic, but it wasn't like super simple and basic. It was kind of like very, I described it I think in my review as like quietly poetic, which like I really enjoyed. Like it just kind of snuck up on you with how nice it was. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I really loved the characters and the whole like world and stuff. It was a lot of fun. And then also Lynn Fueling, author of the Stalking, no, that's not, what's it called? Author of the Night Runner books. Obviously, I love them so much. And yeah, I feel like that's new authors. I feel like a lot of books I've read have mostly been like authors I've read before, maybe. But also Ashley Herring Blake. I'd never read an Ashley Herring Blake book. I know, you can take my Sapphic card off of me, but I love Delilah Green Doesn't Care. So I'm definitely, because I think all she has written otherwise is like middle grade, and I do like middle grade, but I'm not the biggest fan of contemporary middle grade. I tend to like middle grade fantasy, but definitely any adult romance or adult any type of book she brings out in the future I will be reading. So yeah. And then the next question is newest fictional crush. So I feel like I don't really have fictional crushes, but I will say Riadne from A Cruel and Fated Light, which is the sequel to A Dark and Hollow Star, definitely ticked all my evil MILF boxes, and we'll just leave it at that. And then newest favourite character, oh, that's a hard one. I have a few because I'm incapable of choosing one. So firstly, mentioning A Cruel and Fated Light is what it's called. So Seladin, who was like a semi-main character in the first series, but he got his own POV in the sequel, and I just really loved him. He was definitely my favourite character in the book, and I don't know, I just really liked him. I'm really bad at describing characters, but yeah, I just loved him. And then also Alec from the Night Runner series, I love him. He's like very similar to like Adeline type brand, like the golden retriever type energy. Really love him. I also love Sergil as well, who's like the kind of more like flirty, mischievous character. Also Tycho from Forging Silver into Stars, I really loved him. oh, there's so many, like Claire from Delilah Green Doesn't Care. I just loved her so much, very relatable. Yeah, so there's loads of characters I love. I'm sure there's more I could probably think of. And then, oh, a book that made you cry. Okay, this one is slightly embarrassing because it's a rom-com. But honestly, I don't cry at books very often, and this book made me cry literally about 3 times. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was just reading like a cute rom-com. And that is The Charm Offensive. Oh, she's another author who I'd definitely be reading like books from. She has a sapphic Christmas rom-com coming out later this year, which I am so excited for. But yeah, so anyway, this book, it's like a cute rom-com where it's like this reality TV show like set up like a fairy tale, and then the main like prince character, who's got all these like princesses he's meant to choose from, is realising he's actually gay and like falls in love with one of his like producers. And it's really cute and like charming, but there's so much like it's kind of because like both characters have sort of mental health issues, and I feel like the intersection of mental health and or mental illness and queerness, and the way the two were together, I don't know, it just really like hit me, because like I had kind of an eating disorder for most of my teen years, and that meant I didn't really think about like sexuality at all, or like attraction or anything, and I feel like that just, it hit me hard, because it's like that kind of you don't even think about it, and so and then therefore you've almost lost that experience. I don't know, but yeah, it just, oh, it made me cry so much, and I don't even know why. But and then obviously there were some tears of happiness at the end. But yeah, I would really recommend that book, especially as well like the mental health in romance, because Charlie, one of the characters, oh, Charlie's another favourite character, I loved him so much, has sort of OCD and like panic attacks and things, and kind of generalised anxiety, and then Dev, the other character, has depression. So yeah, there was a lot, and yeah, so in addition to being a cute romance, it also has some kind of deeper themes, and I really loved that one. So yeah, and then a book that made you happy has to go to Legends and Lattes, and probably basically every other like favourite book I've mentioned on this list, but this one just, oh, it's just like a little taste of comfort in a book, and it just makes you so like, when you're reading it, you just so like and you feel like all is right with the world, even though it's definitely not. So yeah, I just love this one and would recommend it to everyone, unless you like hate quieter fantasy. But still, I feel like it's not even that much like obviously it's a fantasy world and like the main character's an orc and stuff, but like it's very sort of just like slice of life, and I love it. So yeah, would highly recommend. I haven't really talked about what any of these books are about. So this one, we're following Viv, who like decides to retire from her life being a mercenary and goes to this new city to set up a coffee shop, but like no one in the city knows what coffee is or anything. So it's just kind of her journey setting up this coffee shop and various things that are kind of thwarting her along the way. But yeah, I would just really recommend it. Oh, I loved it so much. So yeah. And it's very pretty, because I think that is the next question. Most beautiful book you bought this year. This one, although I didn't buy it, it was sent to me by the lovely Maddie from Book Browsing Vlog as a like congratulations for passing my finals. So yeah, so this one probably, also God of Lost Words actually. I really love this cover and the whole like aesthetic of all of them together. Let me get them now. Like they just go so well together. I don't know, and like the spines on my bookshelf just look so good. Also, She Gets the Girl. Oh, this is, I could have answered this for that one about what new release haven't you gotten to yet that you want to. So this one, that's my answer. And I love this cover as well. Initially, I was sad that like the US cover, because I thought the US cover was really pretty, and look at the spine. The US cover was really pretty, but then I saw this one and like I wasn't disappointed anymore. So yeah, I love the flowers on the back. I don't know, I just really love it. So yeah. And what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Just basically all the anticipated releases I've mentioned already, and He Who Shall Not Be Named is peeking out there. That is maybe a unrealistic goal, knowing myself, but yeah. Also, there's some books that I really want to reread by the end of the year. So like obviously David Bad I already mentioned. I don't know if I kind of want to read like a bit of Realm of the Eldlings, maybe like the Live Ships books, because I feel like it's been a long time since I read them. I don't know. Yeah, there's just so many good books to get to. So yeah, so that is everything. Let me know in the answers in the comments your answers to any of these questions. I'd really love to know. Especially like favourites of the year so far, or like new releases coming out later in the year that you're looking forward to, so I can check them out as well. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope everyone is having a really great day, and I'll see you next time.